A harsh impact echoed through the arena, sending the fighter crashing to the floor. The audience remained silent, their anticipation palpable, as the referee leaned in to assess whether the man was able to stir. Yet the victor was already soaring away. With his arms raised high and a broad grin plastered across his face, he strode confidently before the cameras, leaned toward his adversary, and unleashed a torrent of insults, brimming with arrogance and devoid of any remorse. Some fans erupted with excitement, while others cast uneasy glances at one another, positioned near the cage in the front row. Jason Statham sat in silence, his expression enigmatic, devoid of applause or reaction. His sharp, fixed gaze locked onto the fighter. The haughty combatant caught sight of him, seized the microphone with labored breaths, and leveled a pointed finger straight at Jason Statham. "Do you believe you portray toughness in your films? Approach, and let us determine the authenticity of your existence." A hush enveloped the crowd, followed by a surge of shouts, some fans rallying behind Jason, while others remained in eager anticipation. Jason lingered in his seat for a moment, then, maintaining his composure, rose with a steady gaze and relaxed shoulders. Seizing the opportunity, he advanced toward the ring with deliberate slowness, his silence speaking volumes. In that moment, the arena fell into a profound silence, a collective understanding dawning upon all that a transformation was imminent. Prior to proceeding, be sure to like and subscribe to catch the thrilling showdown between Jason Statham and the MMA fighter. We'd love to hear where you're tuning in from today, so drop a comment. The stadium throbbed with an electric intensity, every seat occupied, every voice blending into a thunderous chorus that echoed against the walls. The brilliant lights bathed the gleaming arena at its heart, cameras flickering like bolts of lightning as fans erupted from every angle, some brandishing banners, others leaning in with eager anticipation. Perched on the brink of anticipation, his gaze locked onto the combatants, the atmosphere of the evening pulsed with vitality, nearly tangible, infused with the potential for greatness amid the tumult. Jason Statham sat quietly and serenely on the edge of the ring, in the VIP section, dressed in an elegant dark jacket, an open-necked shirt and black jeans. He remained still without seeking attention, yet his presence commanded the gaze of those around him. He appeared incredibly relaxed, one hand resting softly on his knee, the other at his side, devoid of smiles or triumphs, exuding a singular focus. His eyes remained fixed on the cage, while the collective gaze of the arena was drawn to a young undefeated fighter, the name that had echoed through the crowd moments before. This rising star was not only celebrated for his skills, but also notorious for his arrogant, striking, and ruthless approach to victory. He thrived in the spotlight, intent on not just besting his opponent but captivating the audience as well. Every calculated movement was designed to elicit a response. He sprang onto his heels, locking eyes with the cameras, soaking in the adoration or disdain of the crowd. Love him or hate him, no one could look away that night. Across the cage stood his opponent, a seasoned veteran, a man with a wealth of experience etched into his being. Respected and unassuming, he let his skills do the talking, but none of that held weight in the face of the spectacle unfolding before them. As the bell echoed through the arena, the young fighter surged forward, embodying speed and aggression, his strikes precise and unyielding. He unleashed a torrent of forceful blows, denying his opponent even a moment to catch his breath. The seasoned veteran attempted to counter, yet the younger man dictated the pace, as if driven by an urgent revelation. With a brutal finale, he executed a swift combination, landing a clean strike to the jaw, sending the veteran crashing to the canvas with a resounding thud. The sound of the impact reverberated through the arena as the referee signaled the end of the fight. Doctors rushed to the cage, checking on the fallen fighter's ability to move. The crowd erupted. Some fans cheered wildly, exhilarated by the spectacle, while others felt a twinge of discomfort at the brutal speed of it all. Yet, the victor remained unfazed, striding through the cage with arms raised high, bending for the cameras, engaging with the audience. Sweat dripped from his brow, a broad smile plastered across his face as he openly mocked his opponent, exuding confidence without a hint of humility. The commentators struggled to keep pace as he seized the microphone amidst the chaos. Yet, in stark contrast to the frenzy, one man sat perfectly still, Jason Statham. While the crowd roared and the sand flew, Jason remained composed, shoulders relaxed, eyes sharp, his expression inscrutable. He took in every movement, every taunt, offering no applause, no reaction, merely observing, and the fighter sensed his presence. Amidst the dazzling lights, the rhythmic chants, and the flickering cameras, his gaze drifted to the front row. Jason Statham locked eyes with the nearest audience member, and his smile broadened even further. With the microphone still in hand, his expression hardened as he strode through the cage, embodying the essence of a showman. Statham, his voice echoed through the stadium. I observe you seated there, silent and composed. Yet do you truly believe you possess the toughness portrayed in those films? Why not step forward and demonstrate if it's genuine? The whispers ignited like a wildfire. The crowd shifted. Some supporters chuckled, while others glanced around, nudging their companions, and then the melody commenced. Jason, Jason, Jason. It swept through the audience, a wave of emotions washing over them. Some fans buzzing with excitement, while others sat in tense silence, anticipation hanging thick in the air. Jason was no exception. He remained motionless for just a moment longer, his gaze locked onto the fighter in the cage, devoid of a smile or any outward reaction, embodying a serene calmness. Sharp and indescribable, the young fighter bounced slightly on his feet, feeding on the energy of the crowd, the smile growing wider. Then, Jason moved, slow and controlled. He got up, adjusting his jacket with deliberate ease. The stadium seemed to freeze. The songs were turned off. The phones were raised, each camera turned to him. He took a slow step towards the ring, with his shoulders released, the posture without effort, but the weight of his presence was unmistakable. Without words, without fanfare, but everyone knew that the real fight was about to begin. The bell rang sharp, cutting the roar of the crowd without a doubt. The young fighter threw himself forward, fast, aggressive, relentless. His fists came like pistons, each precise blow, calculated, not wild, not imprudent. Through the cage, his opponent, a veteran with years of hard battles, moved to counterattack. Known for his discipline and resistance, the older fighter kept the high guard, circling carefully, measuring the distance. He had seen young and arrogant fighters before, but that night he felt different. The young fighter not only wanted to win, he wanted to humiliate. The crowd roared louder as the youngest man approached. He danced on his feet, moving from left to right, throwing fast jabs, trying each blow with intention, forcing the veteran to step back step by step. In the middle of the first round, the young man began to smile between the blows. You are already tired, old, he murmured. Between his teeth, the veteran responded with a sharp counterattack, almost catching him. But the young fighter crouched effortlessly, the smile expanding. The crowd caught the exchange. The tension in the air intensified. Some fans shouted words of encouragement, others laughed nervously. Without knowing whether to admire or despise the arrogance, the veteran adjusted, trying to regain ground. For a moment it seemed that he could establish the rhythm, blocking, dodging, waiting for an opening. But the young man did not give him the opportunity. He pretended to the left, threw a kick to the ribs, and then threw himself close. His fists were a blur, hooks to the body, a jab to the nose. He bent enough to murmur another provocation. This is not a movie. You are in my world. A final combination. A brutal right hook cutting the veteran's jaw, made him stumble. A quick blow followed him and the legs of the veteran bent. The referee intervened, but the young fighter was already turning around, with his arms high, the crowd standing. The doctors entered immediately. The veteran lay motionless, his eyes blinking slowly. Disoriented under the bright lights, the officers gathered, asking for space, checking his pulse. The energy of the sand stopped. Some fans applauded wildly, others in silence, almost uncomfortable. But inside the cage, the winner did not stop. He walked with his head up, flexing for the cameras. He jumped to the side of the cage, raising his fists, smiling widely as he looked at the fans screaming. Who shall be the next in line? He shouted, his voice echoing through the air, while some whistled wildly, exhilarated by his dominance. Others murmured softly, exchanging whispers. captivated by the triumph yet uneasy with the harshness of it all. On the periphery of the ring, a collective shift occurred as several heads turned, recognizing the figure seated in silence, motionless, Jason Statham. The cameras honed in on the AP section, capturing Jason's unwavering presence. He remained still, poised in his seat, devoid of a smile or applause, his gaze sharp and unyielding, fixed with relentless intensity. Amidst the fervor of celebration, the young fighter's keen eyes caught sight of Jason. Even in the throes of high adrenaline, that unmistakable calm radiated from him. He leaped from the cage, microphone in hand, still gasping for breath, and began to move slowly, each step deliberate and measured. "Can you perceive that?" His voice rang out with clarity, harnessing the vibrant energy of the crowd. "This is the visage of genuine warriors." They erupted, dispersed at the outset, only to coalesce anew. Yet the battle was far from concluded, as they fixed their gaze upon Jason, and a smile re-emerged. "Hey Statham, you've been sitting there all silent all night, but you think you're tough in your films, huh?" The whispers rippled through the crowd as the cameras focused on Jason. The fighter moved through the cage with the flair of a showman, delivering punches aimed at the lenses. On the screen, one reality unfolds, yet here, as he gestures to the ground beneath him, lies the tangible truth. Some fans chuckled, while others cast uncertain glances, unsure of the direction this was taking. Yet, clusters within the crowd began to stir, with some fans at the forefront rising to their feet, chanting fervently, "Jason, Jason." The energy shifted palpably, anticipation thickening in the air as phones were lifted, capturing the moment, with everyone poised in eager expectation. The warrior chuckled, striding forward, reveling in the experience. "I'll tell you what," he said, his voice cutting through the air. "You find yourself in the front row. Why not step in here and let's discover if you possess more than just a double of action to support you." A fresh ripple of whispers swept through the stadium. Some fans let out soft whistles, while others found themselves caught in a liminal space between astonishment and emotion. Yet, Jason remained unmoved, seated precisely as he had been. In a state of serene composure, the fighter stood poised, his gaze unwaveringly locked on his opponent. There was neither a hint of a smile nor a trace of anger, only an enigmatic tranquility enveloped him as he rhythmically bounced on his feet, stirring the excitement of the crowd around him. "Come on, it's undeniable." He instigated it, and now it's more intense. "Around, let us uncover what you truly possess." More cameras gravitate towards Jason. Whispers ripple through the crowd as some lean in, breath held, brimming with anticipation. Yet Jason's expression remained unchanged, allowing the fighter to voice his thoughts without interruption. Gradually, the attention shifted, not to the fighter's words, but to Jason's serene and composed demeanor. All eyes were on him, anticipating, as the sand hummed with tension and the air crackled with noise. Flowing like a wave through the seats, yet perched on the brink of the ring, an unusual stillness enveloped the scene. Jason Statham remained motionless for what felt like an eternity following the fighter's taunts. Jason sat still, his hands resting effortlessly, shoulders relaxed, an expression that defied description. The crowd was uncertain, waiting in anticipation. Then, without uttering a single word, Jason rose. His movements were deliberate, devoid of haste or showiness, each action executed with quiet precision. He carefully removed his jacket and handed it to a nearby team member, his gaze unwaveringly fixed on the cage. Cameras captured the moment in an instant, flashes illuminating the scene as the audience leaned forward, whispers circulating, the atmosphere shifting. Inside the cage, the young fighter sensed the change, a broad smile breaking across his face. He seized the microphone, striding purposefully toward the ropes. Now he rises, his voice echoing as he gestures towards Jason. "Behold, dear friends, Statham enters the scene," his arms outstretched in a flourish of theatrical flair. It was a moment ripe with anticipation, as I imagined you seated there, concealed behind those dark sunglasses. The crowd erupted in uneasy laughter, caught in a limbo of uncertainty. unsure whether the fighter was genuinely serious or merely playing into the atmosphere of the occasion. Jason advanced with a deliberate grace, reminiscent of a sovereign reclaiming his domain. Each stride appeared to draw in the very essence of the stadium, as the chants swelled once more, echoing his name. Jason, Jason. The combatant faced the audience, a smile lingering on their lips. Come on, everyone, lift his spirits, show your support for our action hero. He's going to need it. He tossed the microphone aside, a slight bounce in his step, exuding confidence. The security personnel in the cage departed without a word. The door creaked open softly as Jason stepped inside, unperturbed, devoid of any fanfare. He moved with ease, adjusting his stance, loose yet resolute, his eyes locked solely on the fighter. The commentators' voices dwindled, swallowed by the rising din within the cage. The combatant pivoted with a casual grace, his grin unwavering and broad. "What's the plan, Jason?" he called, his voice dripping with mockery, now amplified. "Will you be delivering some cinematic punches, perhaps a spinning kick for the audience?" Jason remained silent, taking a step closer, closing the gap between them until they stood face to face, mere centimeters apart. The stadium was enveloped in a hush, a silence thick with anticipation, the kind that heralds a momentous event. In this proximity, everything shifted. The fighter, still wearing a smile, sought to retain his edge, bouncing lightly on his heels in an attempt to intimidate Jason, delivering one final jab. One must ensure the director is observing. Jason's demeanor remained unchanged, devoid of a smile or any reaction. His gaze was steady, composed, and unyielding. The crowd swayed, phones raised high, each person eager not to miss a moment. Around the cage, a palpable shift occurred. The excitement ebbed, the noise dwindled as the gravity of the impending event settled in. No referee stood watch, no bell tolled. Just two men, unscripted and raw, facing each other in the silence of anticipation. The fighter's smile faltered just a touch when Jason refrained from taking the bait of the provocation. For the first time, uncertainty faded into the background. In the eyes of the young man, Jason's presence spoke louder than any insult. The crowd caught it quickly. "Jason, Jason." The song began again, louder now, rolling like a wave from one side of the sand to the other. The flashes illuminated each angle. Everyone held their breath. The tension was acute, to a movement of the eruption. The tension exploded like a live wire when the young fighter threw himself first, without a bell, without the referee's instructions, only raw instinct. He threw himself at Jason, fast, a blur of movement, fists flying without restriction. A left hook, a right jab, a sharp kick. His blows were wild, fueled by adrenaline, arrogance, and the roar of the crowd behind him. For a moment, the sand lit up with victories, some fans excited, shouting his name, but inside the cage, the energy told a different story. Jason moved with surgical calm, shoulders loose, breathing constant. Every wild blow that the fighter threw, Jason slipped, letting each fist cut the air without wasted movements. The young fighter continued to advance, fast fists, his smile now tense, the sweat shining, interspersed more provocations between the blows. "Come on, it's so, hit me." Jason's expression did not change, blocked a blow without effort, dodged another. Every time the fighter threw with more force, Jason seemed to move even softer, like water flowing around a stone. The crowd began to feel it. Some whistled louder, trying to make the fighter's blows land. But Jason remained centered, hands up, eyes fixed, calm in the midst of chaos. The fighter's rhythm accelerated. His blows became harder, the highest kicks, desperate to force Jason to stumble. But nothing touched him. Jason's counterattacks were sharp, just enough to redirect, enough to disconcert. A firm blow to the ribs, a clean parry to deflect a hook, a subtle step back, allowing the fighter to overextend. The young man's face changed slightly, his smile tightened, his breathing became heavier, his hands more loose. He recharged again, throwing a wide blow, a powerful uppercut intended to finish things. Jason crouched gently, a clean blow to the body, another sharp and precise counterattack, which caused the fighter's head to move backwards. The crowd's whistles faded into murmurs as they began to notice Jason's struggle to match the young man's fervor. He was dissecting her movements with a keen eye. The young fighter stepped back, jaw clenched, wiping the sweat from his brow. His gaze shifted, eyes narrowing, the once arrogant smile slipping away. He charged again, feigning to the left, unleashing a spinning kick in an attempt to catch Jason off guard. But Jason was ready. He crouched low, closed the distance, and exploited the young fighter's imbalance. A sharp elbow struck his shoulder, forcing him to retreat. The crowd held its breath, some rising to their feet, sensing that the tide had shifted. The young fighter blinked, frustration shining in his eyes, breathing harder. The irregular rhythm had entered the cage waiting for a show, but what he was facing now was something different. Each fan could feel it. Jason had not launched striking movements. He had not played for the cameras. He moved like a man who had done this long before the crowd arrived. Inside the cage, the young fighter charged once more, roaring, throwing fast blows, but now disordered. Desperate, Jason waited, and then, in a single fluid movement, he gave a step forward, a clean blow, a right hook that landed hard on the young fighter's jaw. The sound resounded. The young man froze, his eyes wide open, before his legs gave in. He plummeted hard on the tapestry. The whole stadium fell into a tonic silence for half a beat. No one moved, without screams, without songs, only the sound of the cameras capturing the image recorded in everyone's mind. Jason was left on the fighter, fallen, the expression. Still indescribable, without raised fists, without flares, only control. Then came the eruption. The crowd erupted, Jason's songs resonating louder than ever. Fans rose to their feet, phones held high, lights flashing, illuminating the stadium. Near the front, some fans struck the railing, while others erupted in fervent applause. The commentators hurried to capture the essence of the roar, their voices drowned out by the music that enveloped the scene. Jason cast a fleeting glance at the VIP row, his demeanor unruffled as he settled into his seat. He turned towards the cage's door, making his exit without a backward glance. The fallen fighter remained dazed, blinking at the stadium lights, while doctors rushed to his side. Yet the crowd had shifted their focus away from him. All gazes were riveted on Jason, the man who required no words. His actions spoke volumes. The fallen fighter blinked, dazed, as he stared at the glaring lights above him. His chest trembled as he grappled with the reality of the moment. The doctors swiftly encircled him, their voices a blend of urgency and composure, sharp yet soothing. "Are you able to hear me?" Without a glance behind him, the young fighter groaned, turning onto his side, summoning the strength to rise. His movements were languid, devoid of any bounce or bravado. The smile that had lingered on his face just moments ago had vanished. He rose to take a seat, rubbing his jaw, a look of disorientation clouding his features, sweat trickling down as the cameras closed in, documenting every fleeting second, his hair in disarray. The atonic expression, the shift from arrogance to disbelief. The phones in the front rows aimed squarely at him. The flashes persisted, capturing every stumble, every breathless moment broadcasted. He surveyed the sea of faces, once devoted to chanting his name, now echoing something entirely different. Jason, Jason, each utterance swelling like a tide, the volume rising with each repetition. He shuddered, wiping his face, attempting to dispel the fog. Yet the noise persisted, relentless. The doctors urged him to rise, but his balance faltered, shoulders slumped. He glanced at Jason once more, just as Jason emerged from the cage. There was no need for posturing. No raised fists, no arrogant grin. He moved with a quiet authority, each step deliberate and composed, untouched by the chaos enveloping him. The security personnel parted, scarcely needing to make way. The cameras trailed him, capturing his silent stride across the sand. As a throng of people surged toward the railing, phones extended in eager anticipation of the moment. Flashes erupted, illuminating every facet of his presence. Jason paused at the edge, casting a brief glance at the VIP row where familiar faces offered applause and nods of acknowledgement. Yet, he remained stoic, as fresh as ever, adjusting his jacket with deliberate care before moving his shoulders and making his way toward the exit tunnel. There was no post-fight speech, no need for ostentation. His actions spoke volumes. Behind him, the chants persisted, fans leaning over the railings, fervently calling his name, while others rushed to upload the footage they had just captured. Some in the crowd stood frozen, still processing the spectacle they had just witnessed. One commentator's voice cut through the din, barely audible. "Ladies and gentlemen, I think we just saw something that no one expected tonight," echoing from the press stage. The sports journalists wrote furiously, the social media feeds flooded with clips of the clean knockout of Jason, already circulating. With subtitles that exploded, "Jason Statham crushes the most arrogant MMA fighter without saying a word. The Hollywood action star delivers a KO in real life." The fans astonished. The buzz grew louder with each second. In the tunnel, Jason walked calmly, the expression unchanged. The team members moved away, some exchanging looks, but no one stopped him. He did not break the rhythm. He did not need to do it. Back in the arena, the young fighter collapsed on the stool placed in his corner, a towel on his shoulders. He looked at the ground, his jaw tight, his lips tense, knowing very well that the cameras were still there. His fans had fallen silent, some still applauding, others moving around their phones, playing at the moment. There was no microphone in his hand now, no, there was a provocation, every word that he had said before now swallowed in. Silence. The presence of Jason persisted in the air long after he left the ring. For the fighter, it was not merely the knockout. It was the effortless way the crowd had surged back. How little Jason needed to alter the course of everything. The atmosphere was electric after Jason Statham vanished through the tunnel. Yet beneath the headlines, the fans, and the flashing cameras, one truth stood resolute. Respect is not something that is demanded. It is earned, quietly, persistently, devoid of any theatrics. The young fighter stepped into the cage that night, believing that the cacophony, the spectacle, and the ferocity were the essence of power. He thought that true dominance stemmed from louder roars and harder blows. Yet, the true mastery, the genuine strength, requires no proclamation. Jason's serenity was not derived from accolades or positions of power. Rather, it stemmed from unwavering discipline, meticulous precision, and the remarkable capacity to allow his actions to resonate louder than any insult amidst a sea of thousands. Jason required no words to counter arrogance. He unraveled it with his calm demeanor. This distinction lies between feigning strength and possessing it genuinely. For when the cameras fade and the crowd quiets, a singular truth endures. Arrogance disintegrates in the presence of authentic capability. True warriors remain silent. Their actions speak volumes.